Good morning. Good morning.
If I can start with you, Principal Churton, first. Clearly you have a school uniform policy up till this moment. What made you suddenly decide that you were going to start implementing it with such rigorous force?
The school uniform, as it stands, has always been in place for the school, actually previous to my joining the school just over 2 years ago. And we have been very much trying to enforce the school uniform, but it's been difficult to do that without a sort of relaunch of it, really. So this is not anything changing in terms of the policy, but our expectations are much more rigorous. And we felt as a staff body, it's not just myself, but my staff and my governors felt that the only way now was to enforce it far more rigorously by sending students home after much preparation was given, much time was given for parents
and why did you
carers
suddenly decide to do that?
them.
What was the reason for suddenly deciding that the school uniform needed to be adhered to so strictly?
I think any head teacher, if you ask them if they are putting down some expectations, some rules, would say exactly what I'm about to say, and that is if rules are broken, then that's an undermining of the authority of the school, and therefore we need to respond to that. And you know, you've said it in your little preamble there in terms of the things that school uniform represent. It does represent pride in where you come, spend a lot of your time in terms of your formative years. It also prepares young people for working life.
Okay.
And if you talk to anybody out there who has to have a job, to work whatever they do, their expectations are usually very rigorous.
Well, let's talk to a mum then, standing alongside you, potentially uncomfortably. Lindsay, your 14-year-old son, Mason, has already fallen foul of these rules. Was he sent home, and for why?
He was sent home on Tuesday morning and has returned to school actually twice. I did speak to a member of staff who said he could come back into the premises, and he was turned away again. Also the same thing again yesterday. One of my issues here is the fact that at no point was I informed by the apparently his school shoes are unsuitable.
Can we have a look at his school shoes?
The issue again I have is...
And what's the problem with them?
He was told that they were a sports shoe. Now, I defy anybody to do any sort of sporting activity or running in those. They're not an office-style brogue, which he has had, and by week 5 they were absolutely wrecked. Because he has a 20-minute journey to and from school on foot every day, which, if you do decide to close the bottom gates, will be a 40-minute journey every day.
Well, that's certainly not policy.
Well, let's talk to the head then. Mrs. Churton, what is the problem with those?
They are fit for purpose.
OK, Mrs. Churton, what's the problem with Mason's shoes?
We made the decision that trainers weren't going to be acceptable. Trainers being trainers with markings on or not markings on. Trainers are trainers according to the decisions that we made. And it is always difficult, particularly around, and I totally empathise with Lindsay here, and we talked about this before the interview. And you know, some students do have a significant walk to school, and you know, we do need to talk with parents and carers about those sorts of issues. But in terms of walking around the school building, our expectations are business shoes, and yeah, brogue shoes are what we decided to say in our policy. You've got to draw the line somewhere, and ultimately we aren't going to please absolutely everybody here.
No, of course
we knew
not.
that when we made this very clear to parents and carers.
Lindsay, if I could just ask one more question to you. When Principal Churton took over the school was in special measures.
Okay.
It has since been taken out of special measures. Clearly, she's had a very positive influence on the school up till now. Do you believe that what she's trying to do now is only going to improve Mason's education, and ultimately that has to be the most important thing?
I've got a lot of respect for what Miss Churton has done. I want my son to be a member of a good school, but how I felt yesterday and the last couple of days kind of hasn't made my relationship with the school feel good. I do feel like I've always been a supportive parent. I would like to continue to be so.
OK, well, thank you very much to all three of you joining us this morning. I'm sure Mason probably needs to get to class, otherwise he's going to get into trouble for being late as well. But we do appreciate you joining us this morning. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks to you all.